Rural women produce more than 2/3 of all food crops in the developing world. They are almost half of the agricultural labor force. Their work is vital in every phase of the food cycle, from clearing and planting to harvesting and marketing. Rural women have many burdens and family responsibilities in addition to working in the field. For FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, food security means that all people at all times should have access to the basic food they need. To achieve this goal, rural women need to be better assisted as they strive to grow or buy daily food. They are farmers in their own right. Many tasks women do are different from men's. Whether working alone or with the family, rural women do not have the same opportunities or rewards as men. They face more difficulties as regards land, credit, technical services, and markets. They have little say in the development planning that affects them directly. Struggling for their survival rather than for their status, women do not have a voice in their own destiny. Governments from all over the world emphasized the crucial role of women in agriculture when they adopted the Peasants' Charter at the World Conference on Agrarian Reform and Rural Development organized by FAO. The Charter calls for more assistance to rural women, for improved legal status, including access to land, more rural services, education, employment, and the promotion of women's organizations and participation. Millions of farmers are queuing for emergency relief every year. Their numbers are growing. Natural calamities and man-made disasters hinder agriculture and self-reliance. High population growth strains farming systems. There is no such thing as food security when people cannot grow or buy the food they need. Around 450 million people are undernourished, and their numbers are increasing. Most are women and children. Poverty is the basic problem. Rural families are among the poorest of the poor. Most are illiterate, locked into subsistence farming, and isolated from the mainstream of development. Rural women are in a particularly difficult situation, since they have the main responsibility for feeding their families. Therefore, food security at the national level should start by improving food security at the family level. The search for solutions begins with the land. Women need access to land, but not only as gleaners and scavengers. Discrimination against women's rights to inherit, own, and control land is still widespread. Often they are forced to plant in marginal lands. Farm women with absent husbands sometimes have no right to take decisions on the land they manage. Women also encounter problems in the right to lease land. Access to water for irrigation, to seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides is as important to women farmers as to men. Working hard without modern aids, mothers often turn to daughters for help with crops, as with home chores, lessening their chances for equal education. Support for women's work in food crops has been particularly neglected.
They are weeding sorghum. Sorghum is a relief farming crop that can grow even during the short rain season when there's very little rain. So normally we use women groups to increase food production. So we encourage them to grow a crop like sorghum mainly around this time so that they can get enough harvest to use for home consumption mainly, though they can sell very little, but normally they grow it for home consumption.
The consumption of traditional foods is being threatened by imported foods. Drought-resistant crops such as sorghum and cassava are important for food security. They are adapted to difficult conditions. Cassava can be planted near the home in small patches, left in the ground for up to 2 years, and harvested when needed. This saves time for a woman, especially during peak seasons and when she is pregnant. Cassava is low in protein, but is calorie rich and therefore important. Rice is the traditional crop of Asia. Women are the source of traditional knowledge about seed germination, seed selection, and transplanting techniques. But they are often not consulted when new varieties are introduced. New technologies are given to men, denying women opportunities to achieve better yields and higher incomes. Much of a rural woman's time and energy is spent on burdensome tasks. She often walks long distances for water, and even further for fuel wood. At least 20% of households in the Third World are headed by women who manage farms and raise children on their own. Organized childcare is almost non-existent. The rigid division of labor in many societies forces women into repetitive domestic chores in addition to their farm work. They also try to earn extra income. Although their hours are longer, their leisure time less than men's. By finding ways to save time and energy, women can improve their own well-being and their ability to grow or buy more food. Food security can be enhanced through improved food processing. Tools are needed that increase efficiency and reduce waste in the kitchen as in the field. Energy-saving methods are particularly important for mothers. Traditional tools are usually time-consuming and demand labor-intensive work that can be dangerous. Traditional foods in right combinations are often highly nutritious, but women may have to spend long hours in their preparation. Basic foods like bread and maize porridge need to be balanced with other foods that can be grown in gardens near the home. Problems such as lack of refrigeration lead to spoilage of milk and other food products and reduce the daily family diet. Inefficient stoves make better ventilation necessary to avoid smoke-filled rooms. When children are taught what food to eat and how to cook it, nutrition can also be improved. Throughout the Third World, there is a need for more nutritious food varieties on the table, including food from wild plants and dried and preserved foods useful in times of seasonal shortage. Despite all their work, rural women often get less to eat than men in relation to their needs. At least 10 to 20% of the food grown in the Third World is lost after harvest. The loss would be less if women were better trained. But women, central to so many agricultural tasks, rarely receive direct training as farmers. Even for food storage, which is a woman's task almost everywhere, men are usually the ones that are trained. Subjects like pesticide use are rarely taught to women. They buy, store, and apply pesticides without knowing their proper use or how to control the dangers to themselves and children.
Ahí. Sí. Más bastante. ¿Cuánto ponen ustedes en proporción?
Extension officers in agriculture are mostly men. This is one of the reasons why rural women receive so little training. They tend to stay aside from groups where men dominate. Although women sometimes work alongside men in the fields, some tasks are theirs alone and almost always overlooked in training. A new approach to women in agriculture is necessary more than ever. Men can teach women new skills in culturally acceptable ways, particularly at higher levels of technology. Women available to teach in rural areas are often trained in women's traditional fields, home economics and nutrition.
If you grind small fish and sorghum together, the flour can be made into porridge for children.
Onyiswa kaka direg omena kode bel mama kendo wadwa nyiso uni pong machon okonego wawit onego wati gi pong machon.
We want to remind you not to discard your old grinding stones, because mills often refuse to grind fish because of its fat. Can you see this type of stove? The stove we have is a clothes stove. It's energy saving and uses less charcoal. Open stoves are wasteful. Also, it's good to use a flat-bottomed pot. Round ones allow a lot of heat to escape.
As educated women gain new technical skills, they can transmit these to rural women who have been doing traditional farm work without modern aids or advice.
My work as a vet includes giving advice to farmers in various fields, particularly about animal hygiene. For example, farmers are trained to keep their farms clean and trained how to use the right vaccines to keep animals healthy.
Animal production is important to women as a source of improved nutrition and income. They are forming groups like this goat raising society to learn new milking techniques, hygiene, and dipping methods. Women's groups are asking for new activities as beekeeping to earn income and to enrich the diet. They are attracted by low initial costs and easy maintenance. Production groups, as this sheep-raising society, can include men and women. Such groups are ideal for training and extension that reaches the whole family. But women are often left out because planning does not usually allow for the amount of time women spend in the fields or in other tasks such as running their households. Therefore, training sites are often far from their homes, out of reach. Cash crop production depends heavily on women's labor. And this workload has reduced dramatically the time they can spend on food crops and family life. Many rural families depend heavily on women's earnings, particularly for their daily food. Too often, the technology, control, and profits from cash crops are in the hands of men who spend their earnings on consumer goods or personal pleasures, rather than for family food. Cooperative societies are supposed to bring benefits to farmers. Although women participate more and more, they lack bookkeeping and accounting skills. They are rarely in the positions that enable them to influence decisions. Obtaining credit is important but often difficult for rural women if they do not own land, have cattle, or belong to a cooperative society. Lending agencies tend to give loans to well-established male farmers, even though women have better repayment records than men. This leader of a women's cooperative society raising rabbits and guinea pigs faces several constraints in obtaining credit. Market prices can be erratic, and women can be victimized by market procedures. They need assistance in group marketing to improve their bargaining position.
500. Pues si le digo barato, mire, 500 soles. 500 soles. Sí. Ah, 500 soles. Ya dos todavía no quiere. Aguanta dos. Sí, no estamos vendiendo primera vez que jueves y domingo vendimos. Dame 500, vea. Vea. Estos, vea. Viendo bien traigo. ¿Qué están? A ver, ¿qué están? Que están ningún quiero porque son gordos. Gordos, la gordura es lo que se vende. Nosotros no tenemos nunca flacos, solo gordos. No. Ya 2, 6. 500 si le pago. Bueno, 5.50. Y si no quiere, de...
Le decía que puede hacer el préstamo comenzando
Even where credit is available, women must know how to apply for loans and to understand credit procedures. The social distance between women and bank staff can be overcome if managers better understand what women are accomplishing. Food security also depends on women gaining easier access to markets. In most regions, women dominate rural markets as buyers and sellers. Rural women would increase their income if they learned how to handle, pack, transport, and store farm products. Standardized measurements and control of weighing scales are also needed. In addition to providing income and food, markets make rural women aware of new products, new services, and new opportunities. They are places of education. They give women access to new ideas and new techniques. Markets not only give women opportunities to earn income, they may also lead to new responsibilities. Sometimes their situation has become worse. But there is a new appreciation of women's work. There is a better understanding of their contributions. There is a desire to remove the crippling constraints on their potential. Food security is impossible to achieve if half the world's farmers are ignored. FAO's programs reflect this belief. They seek to help governments restore women to their rightful roles. Women farmers can no longer be forgotten, nor remain unseen and unsung.
Babu